Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this tutorial I'll be going through a step-by-step process how we can start integrating Angular 18.1.4, which is the latest version, with Bootstrap. So by saying Bootstrap is like I'm integrating Bootstrap Angular, which we can see from the website. I'll be just discussing that. So just to give you a kind of overview of this project, which I'm gonna run through, and I'll make this video in different parts so that I can have smaller sections where it's easy to understand, and then we can proceed in multiple parts. So let's start going through some fundamentals around Angular application itself. With the latest version of Angular, we see that we have got the standalone components. By saying standalone components is that these components, whenever we are creating, they are not tied down to any module. Previously, whenever we would create any Angular application, all the components which we create, they are tied down to a specific module. But here in this case, it's an entirely different thing, which I'll be going through while creating my sample application. So any Angular application that starts with the index.html. This is a main page which starts integrating. It's the first page which just starts getting loaded. And Angular is a single page application which is provided by Google's framework. So the moment we start any index page, we have got app.route. So app.route can be considered as one of the tags which belongs to components. So say for example, there's a default components which is existing inside our Angular application. By saying default means that whenever we create any Angular application, it creates certain pages by default, and those pages are specifically or designed to have a routing or bootstrapping. So here, if we see that the index page HTML has a route, so there's one of the tags which corresponds to one of the components inside the Angular. Uh, by saying component, it's basically consists of a selector, and it has three different sections, a kind of three different files. Any component consists of one HTML page where it defines how the layout of HTML page will be rendering, and second part is CSS or SCSS. Depending on the choice of the project we select, we can either select SCSS type of styling or CSS styling. SCSS is preferred because it has got better functionalities. We can import and we can use a kind of object-oriented concepts in styling as well. And the third one is a TS file. TS file is, we can consider it as a Angular TypeScript file which generates the backend coding of any Angular application. So we can summarize it as HTML page, CSS or SCSS, and third one is the TS file. TS file, it's if we think about what TypeScript is and why these latest frameworks they are using TypeScript. TypeScript is a kind of coding language which is transpiled into a JavaScript file. So instead of having a JavaScript coding, we use a TypeScript, which gets transpiled into Java code rather. So let's get back to the main topic here. So as we see that app.root is a part of app.component, the selector is always mentioned inside your TS file. So I'll show it to you later on. And in the app component, we have got various sections. Like it has got router outlet. Router outlet is something which we call it dynamic loading of pages inside this app.component. So by saying dynamic routing is that this page is a kind of static page. Just imagine for an example. And any component which we create, whether it is a home component, about us, or contact us, it can be rendered inside this main page. And this whole page, because it's a app.root, that whole page gets embedded inside this index.html page. And there is a one distinctive difference which we need to understand, is that any page can be integrated within other page in two different ways. Like, say for example, in this index.html page, we hard coded the selector of this HTML page here. So by default, the moment this page will get loaded, it will be embedded inside this page. But if we see the app component page, there is a router outlet. Here we are not hard coding all these pages. Like, let's say if I've created a home component, about us, and contact us, we are not taking selector of home component and putting inside. Rather, we are saying that I'll create a placeholder where any component which I create can be integrated inside this portal. And next thing is, how does a placeholder know that which component has to be integrated? So that's where the app.routes.ts comes into picture. So by saying app.routes.ts, it contains all the information about each and every component and their routes. So by routes, we can imagine that, let's say we have got an Angular application, we ran that, and it starts coming as, let me quickly explain it through Notepad++, and I'll write some notes inside. So say for example, the moment we load this HTML page, that Angular page, it comes out to be by default HTTP and localhost 4200. And by default, this page will be loaded, and Angular takes the port 4200 and it starts displaying the page. And because we have created three different components, like say for example, home component, contact us. So if I say home component, and third one is the contact us, the Angular should know that how to replace these router outlets whenever this one is called. So this app.route consists of two different sections. First is the information about the route. So if router gets this information, home component, let's make it as a name, because this can be changing here. Like, instead of saying home, let's say if we make it home, then home tag on the URL which is mentioned in this app.route, this component identifies a component which is a home component, and this gets replaced inside this router.outlet. Similarly, this about us. So about us is mapped to about us component, and whenever we type here about us, it gets routed back to the component which is inside that about us component. And similarly, this contact us also works in the similar way. So by saying that, we can imagine that the first column is some arbitrary, it's some name which we put in order for a URL to be identified. So this can be like, rather than home, it can be something else as well. And the way this works is that there is internal component which is a router inside the package Angular.router that glues between the link, and it keeps track of what is there in the home component, and it just starts matching, and it starts mapping the component. So in this video, I'll be talking about how navbar can be used to integrate the router outlet in such a way that any tab which is pressed in the navbar, it should start replacing these components inside this app component.ts or app component, and in turn this whole app component just starts displaying inside this HTML index. So I think this is all basic I'll be covering in this video, and in the next part I will start working on the sample application. Thank you so much for watching.